Imposter syndrome is kind of a bullshit term. And I want to just kind of throw that out there before we even talk about what are the 6 signs of whether or not you might be experiencing this thing we call imposter syndrome. Really, imposter syndrome is just a label. It's a label for this collection of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs that center around identity, confidence, and believing in oneself. That being said, as long as we don't get too stuck on the label and turn it into this big monolithic thing, by talking about it in this way, we can actually make some progress in getting ourselves to break free from these patterns, these thoughts, these feelings, and these beliefs that up until now have been holding you back. So here are 6 signs that you might be experiencing what's popularly known as imposter syndrome. Sign number 1, a sense of self-doubt. Now, this is just a general sense that, one is just not capable, isn't good enough, just isn't able to perform at a level that maybe they think they should be able to perform at, or, just things like that. So just a general sense of self-doubt, doubting oneself, one's abilities, and one's capabilities. The second sign that you might be experiencing imposter syndrome is an oversized fear of failure. Now, this is an unreasonable fear of failure. It's not just the nervousness that comes with, I'm not sure if I'm going to get this right or not, but something that really kind of limits you in a way that keeps you from even starting projects. You're just so afraid of not getting it right, of failing in some way. And this can be another sign that you might be experiencing imposter syndrome. Now, the third sign that you might be experiencing imposter syndrome is kind of the twin sibling of the fear of failure, and that's the fear of success. And fear of success is where you just are afraid of succeeding. You're afraid of doing well. You're afraid of maybe the responsibility that's going to come with that. Or you're afraid that that success is not going to last. Whatever it might be, this kind of fear of success is something that, again, it prevents you from maybe even getting started, or at the very least, it prevents you from enjoying working on whatever project or whatever goal that you're working on. The fourth sign that you might be experiencing imposter syndrome is perfectionism, and this is a big one. This is this driving sense that you've got to do everything perfect. You've got to put all the dots and the I's in just the right place. You've got to make sure that the grammar is perfect. You got to make sure that everything is just totally mistake-free. And this can be a really painful and agonizing experience for folks that are experiencing imposter syndrome, because it's just not enjoyable, because you're just constantly worried about getting it just right, getting it just perfect. The fifth sign that you might be experiencing imposter syndrome is kind of a shit show. This is that feeling that you're going to be found out as a fake or a fraud. And I've talked to so many people and worked with so many people who are at the top of their game. They're super successful. They're actually really good at what they do. And yet on the inside, they're terrified because they feel like, I really don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm just winging it. And they're afraid that everyone's going to find out, the gig's going to be up, and the world is going to come crashing down. They might even know that this is totally irrational, that it makes no sense whatsoever, and yet they still harbor this fear of being found out as a fake or a fraud. And finally, the sixth sign that you might be experiencing imposter syndrome is just this feeling of unworthiness, of undeservingness, feeling that you're just not worth it, that no matter what success that you have and what success that you've gained, it's just not, you don't deserve it, and somebody else should have it. This kind of thinking can really take the sweetness out of life, right? It can just make things taste a little bit bitter. No matter how well you're doing, you're like, I just don't really deserve that. I'm not worthy of that. That can be a really painful way to move through life. Now, at any point in our life, all of us are going to experience all of these things at one point or another. Self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of success. We might get a little bit crazy about perfectionism. All these sorts of things are things that we experience to one degree or another. They only become problematic when they become problematic, when they're causing too many problems and they're causing too much suffering. And again, they're kind of taking the sweetness out of life. They're taking the enjoyment out of life, the ability to enjoy your experiences, your successes, achieving your goals. My name is Chris Lemig, and I used to be a drunk, then I became a monk, now I do hypnosis. And what I am really passionate about is I'm passionate about helping people using hypnosis, using the tool of hypnosis to connect with their true self that is independent of all of these stories, all of these beliefs, that is actually that connection to their highest being, that is completely 100% whole and complete, just as you are, just just divine, loving, just beautiful you. So when we connect with that, when we connect with your true higher self, this whole issue, this whole house of cards of imposter syndrome and all these things we've been talking about just kind of tumbles down and just falls apart. So if you're interested in learning more about how hypnosis can help you to, overcome things like imposter syndrome, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can give me a call at 206-747-1095 or message me, and I'd be happy to set up a time to talk to you for free. So thanks for watching. Take care of yourself.